And final, are you kidding me?
Look, the support matchup in favor of the Nautilus. And Quinn is definitely going to be eyeing the Kaisa. He must have played this one out pretty damn well during scrims and in solo queue to be ready for the Kaisa pick.
You know what Soaz said on the desk? He says, I don't want to see Uzi's Ezreal.
Oh.
I don't want to see RNG pick Ezreal. I'm curious about what he has to say about this one after it's all said and done.
So we have seen the Quinn before in competitive, and she does have a very short window to kind of scale. She doesn't have great base damages, has very good AD ratios, bonus AD ratios. So you do need to get a lead with her, or she does fall behind quickly.
I mean, if we're just talking about base damages, the Harrier procs actually just completely makes up for that.
Yeah.
You can get like 2 rounds of Harrier procs, and I just love Steak just...
At bottom lane, all eyes on Uzi versus LWX to see what breaks up here. The crowd is scattered. It's chaos. And that's all the flip-floppers suddenly going, but what if the Quinn wins?
I just want to point out the summoners here. Uzi is running Exhaust. That is the strongest kill lane that I've seen in a while being run in the LPL.
The Galaxy brain continues. We need more. Let's check out the runes quickly. Someone, please. Observer, we need it. Throw the graphic up. The only thing I honestly care about is the Quinn and the bot side with Nautilus, just because, I mean, the kill lane is certainly online. LWX and Crisp, if they were doing well fending off the dives last time around, certainly this isn't the Ezreal that Soaz didn't want to see to pair up with that.
And I think there's a very important interaction there. The vault from the Quinn can actually interrupt the Alistar WQ. That is not unstoppable, so you can get away from most of the crowd control, stay relatively safe, and still have that damage lead over LWX.
And remember, this is one of the few characters that still has a blind as well. So
oh boy, I forgot about that.
That is a nuisance, and if LWX gets hit in the face, well, suddenly vision goes bye-bye.
And I will say this, while the bot lane matchup is really cool, and we'd love to see, you know, what path that Uzi's going to be going towards, mid lane is still going to be pretty crucial to be able to get control of that bot side. Ryze and Elise is a pretty damn good, you know, kill pressure towards Corki, even with the Valkyrie. That's why he's went towards the cleanse pickup. Now we can finally see it. All fairly standard. The magical footwear is going to be the most crucial one so he can get towards his lethality items you would expect far earlier.
But it is overheal though, so there's a lot of questions towards the exact build path.
That's true.
When you have Alacrity, when you have yourself the coup de grace, and you've also got the minor rune with attack speed, so Uzi might not be going what we expect.
I think as a Quinn bot lane, you're not looking to roam as much as like a top lane Quinn. So what you could do is get that serrated Dirk and then just move into the Blade of the Ruin King. You get that lead with lethality, and then you move into more on-hit damage as our resident Quinn expert,
there we go.
Niberia once told me.
Well, there we go. That's a shout out. And another point too is like going back to the point about how you can, you know, are able to reign control through bot side. That's why I love looking towards that Ryze pickup. It's, you know, the most played one for Doinb. For him as a player, the Ryze Realm Warp kind of does the exact same thing that Pantheon really applied. Well, Pantheon, much better matchups for himself. This amount of damage he's able to pull through, and also just being able to just drop ship himself to the side lanes, be able to have a numbers advantage. That's the reason for the pick and why he's been so successful with it.
We have to remind everyone of the absolute nightmare he pulled on Kuro. 2 rotations from the Ryze, was able to kill his Azir, and so far Doinb is 6-0 on the champion over this split.
Wow.
Over 9 KDA.
Remember that this is one of Doinb's favorite champions. On that note as well, you don't see many other mid laners, or top laners for that matter, still picking up the Ryze in the LPL.
Ooh,
all right, we're committing. Remember, it's Doinb's teleport. It's going to be in here.
Is early. Cocoon's not going to land. Ming now looking for the re-engage. Uzi's here with the Quinn. The blind will go down. Ming flashes out instantly. Uzi doesn't have to burn his own.
Yeah, they really needed that Cocoon to land. Or at least the Alistar to come through, but the squad's coming in hot.
Now, Predator is not available here for Karsa, so he's not going to be able to get in the lane in time.
Yeah, God bless the cannon minion. At least they were able to come in, get the full wave them for themselves. So able to dodge out from the gank, come in hot and be able to pick up the experience in the back half.
The start of that trade was very uncharacteristic from FPX. Usually you would just want the Rune Prison into Cocoon. It's as easy as that. Kind of fumbled that a little bit. And at least out the back half of that, really good defense. The bottom lane walked up. They connected with the 2, so the 4-man was safe. And at least FPX are able to retreat without losing anything.
And I mean, Exhaust was used from Uzi as well. So all the kill threat we talked about is going to be minimized just a little bit. XiaoHu again. We're doing a lot of POV, gentlemen, on XiaoHu.
Yeah, just so you guys are aware. So POV here in the LPL, it's done on Doinb and Huya. Now, they're not free. They were free, I think, the first month when they came in at the beginning of the split. Exactly. So, unfortunately for the English audience, you won't be able to get the chance to be able to catch it. But thank God you're watching this, because Langx is putting a hurtin' on Gimgoon.
Oh, and Karsa's here as well.
Yeah,
Gentlemen,
you ain't
are
going
you
back
ready?
free.
Barrel roll. Oh, he has to move. Okay, that'll be it for now.
You ain't going anywhere, son.
He knows as well. Gimgoon even under turret. The orange is available. Langx dives in, flash immediately. Flashes away. That was close. But Karsa under turret. He has nowhere to go. Will he die to the turret? Good bit of fancy footwork from RNG's jungler.
Big brain on Karsa here. Knew that Gimgoon was trying to just outplay the gank, flash away, was able to follow him with his body slam. And then when Cocoon came in, I was like, all right, I'm still going to slam myself out here. Denies the kill goal.
That was so damn smart because he held onto his body slam like you were referring to, waiting for the flash to come out and then finish off the kill. I think XiaoHu is going to be proud with the big brains on Karsa and the Fnatic jersey.
Great start. First blood here for the Gragas. He may be behind 10 CS, but now pretty much negated. After that play, you could see Tian went over to the Raptors, tried to take away some resources to get himself back in that momentous position.
All right, let's take a double look at this one because they had Langx want to at least start this one off. He had the shield initially just based off his passive alone. Karsa, as we had mentioned, recognized that. And he also just knew that he wasn't touched by GP whatsoever. So just great kind of focus in that situation. Remember, in a final setting, spotlight on you, to be able to recognize and get the most out of the situation.
Karsa aiming towards that top side once again, and we see a bit of vision laid down by FPX, so that should spot him out. But Karsa's laying the groundwork, stealing the blue buff away from the Ryze. That is a great start.
And this is also the start of RNG investing heavily into their top lane.
Yeah.
Nelson was saying on the desk over and over again, we're sorry, but they're RNG. They're never going to go there. Karsa's trying to prove them wrong.
I mean, we have seen in the past when Let Me was up on the top set of the map that they would be able to play through, Let Me's Camille. That they had the ability to play through a carry top laner with the expectation that Uzi and Ming were doing just fine in lane. So it's nice to be able to see that flexibility. I'd like to see it in international events, but we have, we'll get to that point.
We got some time.
We have time, that's true.
At least seeing it against FPX.
Evolution's coming through. And, I mean, it's great just because when Langx is able to contribute during team fights, especially with the Camille, it's going to be super difficult for LWX to ever find a way out. So that's a lot of kill potential now going straight towards LWX.
Adaptation is great, but FPX's reaction was even better. Takes away the Ocean Drake. It's going to help with all 3 of the laning phases right here. And RNG, especially for that bot lane, I think it helps a lot. This combo does not trade with you that often, so you get maximum value out of the regen.
All right, Blade of the Ruin King start here, though, gentlemen. I know we were asking what the build was going to be. Cutlass already picked up.
Yep. Primarily, you would expect Blade of the Ruin King, Phantom Dancer. You'd find that part, and then you'd start going towards the crit route, so you can either go Essence Reaver or Infinity Edge. Like, that's now the expectation, so there is a scaling element. I like the utility with the Blade of the Ruin King, so, the primary focus is when you have the pickup, you can start rotating alongside with just your ultimate. That's a great asset for you. So if he ever finds a way out mid, then he can go towards the mid lane alongside Karsa. The mid game should be incredibly strong on the side of RNG.
And I really want to see how this kill lane actually works out, because Quinn is not a pick that is going to do a lot in these team fights. She's not really a high sustained damage profile champion. So you're really looking at the kill lane potential here, and I think that's going to come with the first play.
Oh! Hey, that's a whole flash, wall flash immediately onto Gimgoon. Explosive cast. Now Langx is having a happy time.
I had a DFG on that one. That reminds me of the old mid lane Gragas there. Knew that was going to be in kill range, so great job there. Just bullying Gimgoon. Thought it was safe to go back to the GP pick, and I think for the first few minutes of the game, he was looking incredibly fine with the, early HP margins. This case, it's not looking good.
Well, top lane set up to succeed. 1-0-1. And the Camille able to push the wave out and then probably back. This is the start of Langxing's game here in number 3.
Take a look at the minimap, though. The control that RNG was initially trying to look towards the bot side of the map is now going to start piling up. They have a great defensive ward through mid lane to be able to catch if Tian's coming through from the right side. It should make it easier now for XiaoHu after he bases. He's pretty low on mana. To get the push off in lane, work alongside Gragas to go deep into the enemy jungle. So while right now they're using those wards defensively, I think in the future that's going to be a great way to at least free up XiaoHu and send him bot.
Well, for FPX, it's about clearing the top side now towards the Rift Herald. 10 minutes has struck. Tian's back up here, and with all the pressure that's come through from the RNG jungler, Tian taking this away means that Gimgoon should be able to get back in lane.
One thing I felt RNG was much stronger in their semifinals was just the fact that their skirmishes were so much better compared to what looked like from FPX. And right now they have the comp to do so. There's a lot of initiation, and even Uzi, who comes in from a different lane, is going to have be able to make an impact with that exhaust.
And a lot of the reasons for that is because Langxing simply looked better and he looked more comfortable in that position. A lot of the times throughout the entire year, I'm going to even include Amazing Jane on this, a lot of the top laners that came into the RNG roster simply couldn't perform at that level and couldn't perform the duties that they had. And also, another thing as well, when they had good matchups for their top laner, they would simply still play away from the top lane. So this is a great example of them still giving Langxing room to work off of. Now that he has a great advantage for himself, he can be a great asset in these later teams.
Because I know he gets abandoned at the stick a lot of the time. It's hard being a top laner in RNG. But seeing this game, seeing some resources go up is a great start now. For RNG right now, we're looking towards the mid lane because 3 have rotated through to get the shove out and set up for more bottom side vision.
Yeah, I mean, Scuttle Crab's going to help out immensely. Also, it's just, I think XiaoHu needs an extra more wave to be able to get to his Trinity Force. That's all he's really aiming for. He's been safe for some time now, so it's been difficult for Tian to find a lane to work around. Can't go top side with how the GP is, of course. Can't go mid lane with Valkyrie and Cleanse at the ready. And bot side, he had been working towards it, but as you can see, the vision control has just simply not been there for them.
Yeah, it does look like to me RNG are trying to get a skirmish fight within River. They're starting to wrestle all this control away. Their composition, again, is stock full of initiation. Anyone can start the fight. So this is just kind of the calm before the waters start to boil up.
And we've also almost got the double Trinity Force, guys. Langxing and XiaoHu both working towards it. And right now, the Corki closer to it. Also, Uzi backing right now will have that Blade of the Ruined King.
This reminds me of the old style RNG had, when a lot of the times they'd go internationally and they would still be recognized as a team fight team, but they certainly were, at the time, the best team at split pushing in the LPL. And in this case, you have Camille, Corki, and you can actually abuse side lane matchups with Quinn rotating through mid up top side.
Good point.
So Camille and Quinn, incredibly high damage in isolated situations. That's what I'm looking forward to. It's basically look to the minimap and see where Uzi's traveling.
Package and Valor also have that same effect, though. The 2 carries can just show up anywhere on the map, and this is so interesting to watch because you can see that even with Uzi roaming towards Herald, LWX can't get that wave pushed in soon enough.
Because he's immediately back down to the bottom lane. He's so quick just like that. And I think this is the one team composition I'd look towards and say, I would love a Cloud Dragon here. Be absolutely perfect as Langxing bullying Gimgoon once again. And this is one matchup that is not going too well.
Yeah, I will still say as an asterisk that FPX's composition works beautifully later on in the game. You already talked about the late game situations Doinb and LWX has, but they have to be able to defend this. Save Gimgoon!
Cannon Barrage going to be used.
Goodbye.
Okay, well, FPX pick up the double Ocean, so early game achieved with a triple on the mark.
That's why just watching the playoffs and seeing both Renekton and GPs be so heavily prioritized, because they can just eviscerate the wave.
Yeah.
When the jungler comes up topside, they can say, actually, not going to be the case. Uzi and Ming have to respect this.
They're trying to do this once again. Crisp and Tian pivoting over the side while Doinb's going to make the move as well.
There we go. I mean, so many people talk about RNG playing towards bot side so heavily that a lot of the times you forget about how well Uzi and Ming play on weak side of the map. That they were always respective of, the pressure that you consistently see from some of these teams. So able to play that one out well. And I think right now, the early games looking good for RNG.
I really like how patient Tian actually is in most of these early games. When he sees a lane fall behind, he's not rushing into it and risking a potential counter gank. He's saying, you know what, I'll take things from the other side of the map. And that's double Ocean Drakes that he's now been able to secure, and that will slowly grow into kind of lane chip advantage for FPX.
He's also got 30 CS in the jungle, so on that note as well, getting a lot of camps for himself. Has about half a level advantage if I'm not mistaken, but I love that the gold comes up for turret plating. It has been a much slower early game with only about 160 going over to FPX.
Seems like triple Ocean Drakes coming into this one. RNG does not seem interested in these whatsoever, but I will tell them that later on, if they get all three on FPX, it will favor this 1-3-1 composition. This FPX, they have very strong split pushers, and we've seen Doinb on the Realm Warp in the side lane. He can just show up into the mid so quickly on this Ryze.
Because like, if you start to paint an image here where I look at RNG and say that their side lanes should look good, I look at FPX and say, wow, I mean, RNG have done this trick a lot of times, so just to point it out, like, Doinb drop shipping his team, especially the Kaisa, into the Baron pit whenever they have adjacent waves pushed in, to just completely sneak the Baron away from RNG. So if RNG wants to prioritize their side lane, they better put in great defensive wards around the Baron buff 20 minutes into the game, because that's going to be the counter that FPX ends up looking for with what seems like a better teamfight comp.
Curious about the priority here, because right now with Rift Herald just sitting there, while we are talking about vision, FPX hold that pit and it still hasn't been started up until now, it looks like, with RNG backing away and Tian continuing to take over these objectives.
Neither sides are really willing to risk it so far. The rotational speeds from RNG, I think, is scaring FPX a little bit from taking direct action. And so far, I think RNG are still the ones that should be fishing for the skirmishes, fishing for the picks. They can snowball down all the targets quite easily with their chase up.
Yeah, at the end of the day for me, I look at this and say, if FPX is retaking control of vision on the top side, they are still not comfortable looking for a play. RNG, on the other hand.
I mean, this is the motivational comp we're talking about, or rather movement speed. Karsa coming in as well. The Gangplank is dead. RNG just make the move, and that was quick.
That, my fans of the Fire Nation, out of nowhere, descended on Gimgoon, and they don't really have too much to trade off of. Like, sure, they're able to get top lane turret, and you look mid lane, and RNG are already there to pick up the wave.
I actually think FPX will gain an advantage in terms of objective trades in here, but the key point for them is keeping Gimgoon down. If Gimgoon can never split push against a Camille, that gets RNG a split pushing lane, 1-3-1 doesn't work.
All right, we'll just have to see if that Rift Herald actually pays off. It's just an investment point. Right now, they want to at least defend this mid lane outer.
Depends if they can find something. You're right, teleport will come through from Gimgoon just to save the turret. Tian picks up the Rift Herald, moves to the mid lane while Langx continues to push bot.
And this is the most frustrating point of the game here for FPX because, you know, 17 minutes in, you can't necessarily look for a Baron. Even if it hits 20, you're not confident in the damage you have pre-Muramana there for LWX. And so enemy red side jungle is actually just so littered with RNG wards that Gimgoon picks up that wave. He just has to expect that he's dead with how quick that XiaoHu and Uzi are at being able to just dash straight into him.
And I think that's perfect proof to the fact that RNG are not just a team fighting team. In the past, I've always felt like they were strongest when they could play 1-3-1, when they could support their split pushers, and we're seeing them throw some of that chops in this game as well. They're setting up a very good quadrant on the map where they can get Langx fully supported in the push.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're just talking about gameplay, it's really nice to see that they are not just a one-dimensional team. Sometimes they choose to be as such, but certainly with how well of a team like Langx players, that is, Langx and XiaoHu are, this team came into the split as a super team and should be respected as such. All these individual players are strong players. Another thing to mention is that this also gives them an opportunity to play through red side, and you still have to respect the counter pick. You just don't expect it to be the AD carry.
We're doing this again, though, it seems, as Langx and Gimgoon are going to face head-to-head, but not as they know it. Rift Herald for the bottom side while Quinn looks for the 0-3 Gangplank.
All right.
He can't leave.
Put your hands up.
Cannon barrage first, hook shot Langx at half health. I don't know if this is good. Uzi comes in, flash immediately burn into the blind. Uzi takes one too many. A 1-for-1. You take that, because on the bottom side, meanwhile, we're still pushing.
That was pretty close, but I have to say Gimgoon did outplay that one. However, RNG, I would say this was a strategical win. They still keep Gimgoon down. Tactical loss.
Look, this is the definition of testing your limits. They said we could just do this on our own, but they end up losing out heavily because of that investment we were talking about. Riptail played off. You got bot side, you got the kill on the Uzi. Now you can go back mid, look to protect your outer turret. Actually, I just feel like RNG may be able to take it. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I still think that FPX got a lot out of that.
Yep, triple ocean on top of that as well. So that resets the Dragon. We're set up for the Mountain to come back. And they even got that bottom lane turret, even without the local gold.
So right now, Langx is perfectly set up against Gimgoon. There should be no world where Gimgoon walks over Langx. The real question is, what happens when the Ryze gets to the side lane? Watching this again, I think it's a very easy clear out from Gimgoon. He keeps his oranges there. He's able to cleanse out of it, just deal tons of damage, and Uzi has to tank a turret to get the kill.
It's upsetting to watch if you are both Langx and Uzi. They thought that they had the necessary damage to tank up the turret and also just being able to pick up that kill on Gimgoon, but the sustain that he has is absurd in that situation, and also just shrugged off the CC that came through. But I mean, if we're just taking a look at FPX's composition as a whole, we talked about the scaling teamfight factor. They're getting to that point.
Well, the ultimate peekaboo again, flushed away by Uzi. That was pretty easily done.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at it. LWX is getting towards his Runan's Hurricane. He's pretty close to being able to pick up his Muramana. Should come up any moment now. And Gimgoon's been farming up safely, sure. I mean, the 4-death power spike is certainly helping him out. At this stage, FPX is starting to gain that confidence. It's RNG that needs to stop this from happening.
And the dive is going to be incoming. They have the demolition to take this one down. My question for...
Kaisa burning. No, Quinn will not die, but holy hell.
That was part of my question. What does this Quinn actually do? Because she is not a good scaling champion whatsoever. And if you're AD Quinn, you don't even have that map presence that a solo lane Quinn would have.
All right, Infinity Edge picked up now. You said she's not a good scaling champion in comparison to the Kaisa. Absolutely, but at least we get into a mid-game where we will see more of her.
Yeah, I think at the end of... I just look towards what is RNG's strategy and says that she doesn't necessarily have to be as strong as LWX. She doesn't have to team fight. Just split up the map. The focus is here is on Langx and XiaoHu to be on side lanes. So it allows Uzi to have, you know, a real purpose in this game.
But on side lanes, you don't beat anyone. You know, that's a problem when you're playing from a dual lane Quinn.
No,
I think
you're actually piling
support.
on pressure. You have a numbers advantage. So, like, you're just going to be playing through mid. The problem is, to your point, is actually if Doinb is playing through mid or LWX is going to already get towards
they
his
have
Runan's
right
Hurricane.
away. You're just
exactly.
out of there.
You're going to be pushing mid. You have mid shove advantage. So it's going to be difficult for Uzi as the game goes on, but he's still banking on this.
He's really sticking around Langx this game. So it's never that 1v1. It's always RNG looking in pairs for the picks. But Gimgoon started playing very safe in this lane. He shoves. He leaves, he waits.
Also, just a small point, I like the fact that the Banshee's Veil came through from Karsa here. If you're just looking at what FPX has to offer, there's just a lot of CC, and specifically the Cocoon is how FPX will be setting up a lot of these fights. But yeah, Bodyguard Uzi's watching.
This is the first game that Uzi is going to be down the CS mark. He's also not going to be receiving that many resources. He's also down a level of LWX.
He's atoning for all those times that Langx teleported to his lane. He's actually helping out the top laner now. What I want to point to is Doinb's Ryze build. Now, this is going to be the first time this split that we see him going back towards the Righteous Glory build. He is just so confident on a side lane that he's going to be able to make a great difference, that he's actually going for the tank rather than the pure damage output.
Yeah, I do want to see what the lane assignments look like, because if I'm looking at Doinb, I think he wants to group up a little bit more often to get mid pressure, to talk about like what they usually do with the Ryze pick. Maybe they can try and gank Langx as the game goes on, but certainly if they get mid control, they can start utilizing the Muramana Kaisa to try and sneak up a Baron. Especially with the Dragon pickups they've been having, it's going to force RNG away from the side lanes and more into more grouped open spaces.
Especially when we start putting Mountain in it, gentlemen. 20 seconds till that spawns. We look towards the bottom side. FPX still have priority in River. In fact, grouping around mid to find a pick. 15 seconds out.
Both of these teams are in a very strong position, and RNG really need to wait to Camille to get everything started here. Well, I feel like FPX, just poking out of the brush, can hold their ground with the dragon control.
This is a move from Uzi, though. Pushing up the top wave, he's going to be sitting on the turret, giving away the dragon, while RNG either threaten the Baron, threaten for vision, or again threaten that pick.
Just remember, Doinb has teleport alongside Gimgoon. Even if you make a play towards Baron, there are going to be members from FPX that will challenge you. So FPX just are playing the safer game. They have mid control. They now have the Mountain Dragon. It's going to be on RNG that actually tries to push them off this. They need to be the playmakers in this case. Karsa needs to be able to find that pick. He has Flash available, Cask available. He needs to be the one that can either get a pick onto Tian, Doinb, to start it rolling for him.
FPX, with all their Mud Drakes combined, they're never going to be taking chip damage on their towers, because they could take a trade with you outside of the tower, just back off when the wave disappears. So what this means is basically Gimgoon, even with his deficit, he's not really going to lose his own tower defenses. It's very hard for Langx to actually find pressure on the map.
I'm curious, is he actually in a deficit? Because this game, he's always been ahead of the item curve. He picked up Trinity Force first, even when he was 0-3. And he's sitting on a pickaxe, sitting on the makings of a Sterix Gauge. It's not like Gimgoon is actually that far behind.
That's the benefit of a GP. Unfortunately, they got vision on Quinn, depending on if they had eyes on it. But even if they didn't see the Quinn, Gimgoon is playing incredibly safely. And to your point, he should be always able to thin out the wave, so even if the dive comes through, he's going to be looking to outplay, and he's always going to be able to look to contribute in fights with his own ultimate. So nice defensive position from both Crisp. They're paying attention to the low econ top laner, and it's nice to see.
And when you talked about how dangerous this late game could be when you have Ryze, Kaisa, Gangplank, I mean, FPX, the game going this slow, starts becoming dangerous.
An extra factor to think about is also he just has stopwatch. So if he has stopwatch, if you continue to look for a dive, you're losing a lot if you're RNG. You need to find a way to either commit more people so you can stick around a little while longer, and if FPX tried to double down in the fight, then you can still perhaps win out, or find a new member to pick, because Gimgoon's no longer worth it.
Yep.
This macro is just immaculate from FPX. They're using all the vision, all of their wave control to avoid situations where RNG can ever find picks. RNG, you know, their composition is built for those skirmishes. They found effectively nothing. They just picked on Gimgoon. And honestly, they're fine with that. FPX are just okay with Gimgoon being the sacrificial lamb.
Especially when the rest of the map keeps accelerating. The Righteous Glory now picked up, as you're mentioning, for Doinb.
Yeah, and so now FPX should be comfortable to look for a fight. Not just based off that, you know, item pickup that he has, but I talked about the stopwatch there for Gimgoon. Tian and Kaisa also have that ready.
Yeah.
They're battle ready. So I think at any point in time, FPX will be looking for Chris to find that headbutt pulverize combo. It's going to have to be an RNG that looks to react. And it's very odd. I mean, to the point that we were always making, even when RNG, and they still technically have that goal lead, the problem is that their composition is starting to de-escalate. Looking towards like the Kaisa, Ryze, and GP, the teamfight comp is there for FPX, and they're getting the gold ready for this.
And it's heading towards Baron now with Vision in contention, 28 minutes in. FPX, they've got the shove on the mid lane as well. They just want this outer turret. They've been fighting for this for the past 5 minutes to at least make it easy to push in.
This is basically what RNG does best. Fishing for team fights, 5v5s around the Baron pit. This has gotten them out of so many situations where they don't have the scaling advantage, where they don't have the split push advantage, and now they have a strong shot of actually goading FPX in.
At least they're making use of the Camille here. So they're defending well enough so that the mid lane tower is not going to go down, and the time, you know, if you just take a look at the clock, Camille is banging on the door of your inner turret.
Yep.
So Gimgoon always has to leave the team really early on, and it's making it so RNG can rely on the Camille a little bit more often.
Still 2 levels down the GP, by the way, and Langxing's just hit level 17 with 270 CS, so he's pretty close to the clock. He hits the Krugs, moves away. That was a Realm Warp use, but I guess FPX want to keep sieging this turret, and finally they are going to get it.
Just faking people out, scaring away the defenders from RNG.
They know that Uzi's not going to be there for the fight. He has exhaust, not teleport. You can push your luck here for an inner turret or play towards the Baron. I want to see what the call is here. They still see Uzi on the top side.
He's sticking around, waiting to bait it out, but the Quinn is going to back off eventually. Pings were getting slammed down by FPX, but they're going to back off as well.
I really I really think this is super interesting from Uzi because AD carries are typically not known for being great split pushers. We've seen Double Lift have that kind of on his career, and Uzi as well has been kind of a question mark, but they found the pick.
Control ward in the pit means that they don't know this is going on. Pings are coming down, but now finally getting spotted. I don't think anyone's there in time.
It should still be free. Here comes the teleport.
GP comes down. It's not going to be a steal. Karsa almost died, but Baron secure. Ming has to flash out of the wall.
Down.
Can they find him, though? RNG just walk out.
That's that creativity we've seen throughout the playoffs. Last series, we also just saw Uzi teleport to a ward and just go for the Baron. They saw that window and went for it.
That's just so funny. FPX thought that they had chased off Uzi and he was backing. He stayed around for the play. He said, like, you know what? I'm just going to hang in here. I'm going to call your bluff, and you're just open for a Baron take right here. That was so well done on Uzi's side.
Yeah, that changes everything now. Looking towards wave control is there for RNG. It also just outright empowers Langxing's position. These type of games can end on a dime so quickly.
Yeah.
If Langxing is able to get a shove on the bot side of the map, come around through mid, and find that key fight when they have a cannon minion wave ready.
And now Uzi can keep doing what he was doing before with the Baron in the side lane, with the Quinn AD carry, still split pushing. This is a much larger threat, and FPX are going to be drawn thin.
The funny thing is, he's actually a good split pusher against the solo lanes at this point if they don't get caught.
That's going to be Ming getting caught. There's a Realm Warp getting followed up as Righteous Glory comes through. Ming looking to sacrifice himself while the rest of RNG hit the mid lane. They need to trade off his death.
Yeah, but he's buying time. You know what? Send more members at me.
Okay, he will eventually die. Turret does go down. That's a turret for a kill. Let's make it 2, though, if we look towards bottom side.
Exactly. They've set themselves up for the bottom lane turret. So that's 2 turrets with the Baron pickup that they've had. It was a nice opportunity for FPX to kind of wring control away from RNG, but RNG played the long con, and here he is.
This is exactly how you play the 1-3-1. A lot of times you can suffer deaths and take objectives for it. That was 300 gold on Ming for over 2,000 getting from the objectives there. He was willing to use his flash, his ultimate, and his perfect timing just to draw out the timer.
Meaningful gold lead here in this game. 4,000 just about on the way to RNG. Langxing hits level 18, hits that side lane, now has an open inhibitor turret to take care of.
And once again, you look to the minimap, and the wards from RNG do really well to stop FPX from making plays happen. Because bot side, Camille is well protected. You have multiple wards in the red side jungle. That's actually just yours now. If you look top side, I mean, it's Uzi who's constantly worried about that play with no vision, so he just pushes that one wave, backs away, knows that they have a wave now that they can now utilize to gain vision on someone who goes up top side, this time it's Ryze, and then make a play through mid bot.
I'm pretty sure what we're going to see happen is Doinb eventually trying to catch out Uzi on the side lanes. He has really not a lot of escapes if he gets caught down in the room prison, and that would allow FPX to then use the extra teleport on Doinb to find a fight. So it's going to be a solo between the 2 kings on these teams.
Game 3 with new expectations thrown up in the air. 32 minutes in. And look at this. FPX trying to clear out that vision we were talking about. They're looking for the Camille, but Langxing's just so hard to find.
There's just so many wards here that, sadly enough, that he just didn't see this one coming. It caught him in vision pretty early on as well. And so now Camille, even with the wards being taken out, is still well protected. So good luck here. Both top lane and bottom lane waves are being pushed in consistently by RNG. But that being said, Baron buff is now gone.
Gone without an inhibitor turret or an inhibitor being taken. For FPX, still fair game. And remember, with all the elementals they have, that's a very dangerous Elder coming up in a minute 45.
If FPX ever get to a strong 5v5 team fight, I would still give the win over to them. They're still looking for that big objective initiation that they can turn the game with. However, RNG, you have to say, in these couple of minutes, they were down 4 to 5K with that Baron buff. They're in the lead now, they're in a driving position, and have a foothold on the top side of the map.
Take a look at XiaoHu's build here. So he's got his Mercurial Scimitar already locked down with his rapid fire cannon. He's ready for a play, and he can actually play far more forward now, knowing that he's not going to just be dumpstered by a cocoon or destroyed by like the only rune prison, because after the change, so you can't just empower it anymore. You're just going to have to put in everything you can to get that snare. So I look at this, I'm pretty happy about XiaoHu's current position in the game, and I'm in the same position as the Colonel here. It feels awkward, but I'm really in favor of RNG just because of that last play. It's a back and forth game.
At least you want to see XiaoHu hit the mark then, because in the first couple of games, I don't think I've seen enough of XiaoHu that merits us talking him up throughout all playoffs, throughout even the summer split itself.
Yeah, XiaoHu has done great things. However, the last couple of games has been, I would say, a little bit more passive and mistake-prone on his part. I kind of want to throw the question to who does the side lane split for RNG, and it really looks like Uzi is super practiced on this pick. This does not look like your normal kind of AD carry play.
Yeah, I mean, Uzi as a player doesn't just go out and play something if he hasn't practiced it before.
Especially not at the grand final.
Because 100%. Like, it's one of those things, it took him a long time to be confident on the Xayah pick as an example. And so for him to bring out the Quinn, certainly has played it a lot of times during practice to be in this position. That being said, they have to challenge for this. FPX has position over Elder Dragon.
Elder started with double mountain. It's getting shredded down. Karsa's in the pit. Steals it like it's no one's business. Uzi jumps back in, but he's going to die immediately. But can RNG get out? Karsa drops as well. Ming in the middle of it as Doinb finally locks him down. That's the Elder still for 3 big death timers.
But that's also the big 5v5 that FPX were looking for. The scaling is in their favor. The teamfight setup is in their favor. Camille wasn't able to get into it.
Clement, this is a long death timer we're looking at for RNG. 35 seconds for Quinn and 30 right now for Karsa. They can outright win. XiaoHu needs to be aware of that.
That's what I was saying. The teamfight actually favors FPX after that one. That's exactly what they're looking for, and it's going to have to be a heroic defense right here. 5v2.
They're not stopping. FPX kill the inhibitor. They want more. The lead in this grand final comes down to this.
10 seconds now on Uzi.
Chris
Can they defend it?
He breaks it again. The Nexus tower goes down. RNG lose one. It's XiaoHu has to flash away. LWX takes the flash himself. He gets the shutdown. It's open season on the Nexus. FPX have it. They're trying to find it, but no. Tian getting away. It's so close. He gets exploded though. And you know that RNG now going to send it right back.
Take a look at the top lane wave. They don't have people to teleport, but I already talked about these long death timers. RNG are going to look for the counter endgame.
You're joking after FPX had the open Nexus.
That was XiaoHu's MVP bid right there. We were talking him down in the series. He dodges out of the WQ combo, coming in from Chris. Alistar dies for nothing, can't take the tower out, and then they take out over the carries.
Chris is the only man alive here, and you have about 15 seconds to spare.
Can he survive? The support Alistar needs to delay time. He gets the 3-man pulverized.
He's down.
But he's shredded, and in comes the minion wave.
Wait a minute, 5 seconds. I don't know if they can end this.
Doinb's coming up. First Nexus turret goes on down. They're trying to expose the Nexus. Explosive cast. Misses. That's a big ult to miss. They're turning it around. Chaos is their name, and FPX want to make it back into their game. Karsa will go half health. Uzi will die, and I think this is going to flip right back.
Literal calamity on the rift here. Now FPX has full control. Is that a 50-second death timer on Uzi?
They're teleporting to the mid lane. The Nexus is exposed, but they don't have vision in the Nexus itself. We're back to 3 again.
They defended 2v5 before. They can do 2v4.
I don't want to jinx it, but I think this is another end game here for FPX.
Ming has 15 seconds. Chris has now respawned and is running down mid. Open inhibitor, and XiaoHu has to bring it back again.
He has a lot of crit damage here. Can he take down the damage?
He needs a 2v5. Langx jumps on in. Onto Tian, he uppercuts him. But XiaoHu, get back to the Nexus. No! FPX run into it. Bring us to an epic match point.
That was